Chapter 8. The teachings begin. My intro to nonduality. On the ride back from the festival, I was absolutely cooked. My brain felt like scrambled eggs that had been left on the stove too long as I desperately tried to unravel what had just happened to me. Chris, what the hell was all of that? I stammered as I swallowed the post-trip supplements he had given me to prevent a post-trip major depressive episode and to replenish all the minerals I'd burned through processing those intense energies. In Chris's SUV on an 8-hour drive back from the festival through the pristine forests of British Columbia, I still felt waves of the residual high as my mind continued subtly bouncing between realities. As we wound through the towering pines and mountain passes, Chris became my spiritual translator, decoding the LCS downloads I just received. He played audio lectures about simulation theory and consciousness, recounted his experiences sitting in silent meditation halls for days at a time to reduce anxiety and tap in, and introduced me to a vocabulary that felt like learning the secret language of existence itself. Words like Maya, moksha, satsang, and unity consciousness rolled off his tongue like he was discussing the weather, each one carrying the weight of millennia-old wisdom. I was completely absorbed by everything coming out of his mouth. Nothing had ever fascinated me this deeply in all my years on earth. My mind was a wide open vessel, desperately trying to catch every drop of wisdom that might help me understand why reality had just turned inside out. For the entire ride, I don't think I said a single sentence that wasn't in the form of a question. Chris spoke with the casual authority of someone who'd been beyond the veil many times before, both sober and through psychedelics, and as the highway stretched endlessly ahead, something shifted in his tone. He glanced over at me, his expression growing distant and almost vulnerable. "You think what just happened to you was intense?" he said, with a slight smile that carried weight. "2 years ago at the same festival, I wasn't the guy sitting here explaining consciousness to you." He paused, his hands tightening slightly on the steering wheel. "Then the universe knocked me off my rocker, forcing me to look into all this," he said. "I got the download to end all downloads that showed me what the universe really is." He then began to tell me the single most important anecdote I had ever heard in my life to that point. He told me he was never spiritual, nor were his parents growing up. He had dabbled in psychedelics, but nothing more than recreationally. Then, 2 years prior, with him and Elliot at the main stage of Shambhala, he had taken a moderate amount of acid just before the second to last act was to go on. As an experienced psychonaut, he assured me it wasn't any amount more than what a perfectly normal, nice, enjoyable trip would call for. About one hit. But for some reason, only the LCS knows why, it utterly obliterated him. What unfolded wasn't merely an acid trip, he said. It was a complete unveiling of God, reality, and everything that exists, forever altering the trajectory of his consciousness. He said the moment it started coming on, he knew this was going to be a wild ride. In one of the most stimulating environments known to man, surrounded by thousands of partygoers, reality began dissolving as he stood motionless, trapped in the most intense, overwhelming setting imaginable as his journey into the infinite began. It started with him leaving his body, looking down at the crowd, and then quickly catapulted into a violent push through the deepest layers of consciousness, his mind racing at what felt like 1,000,000 miles per hour as space-time fragmented around him. Out of nowhere, this wheel appeared that was spinning. It was like the same one in the board game of life, how appropriate, but this wheel was landing on different emotions, covering every emotion in the human spectrum. With every spin, a new emotion would strike him like lightning at maximum voltage, flooding his entire being, while the center of the wheel displayed choice, constantly shifting between various linguistic translations. Time was no longer a thing, as 1 minute stretched into what felt like an hour in his altered perception of time. Then the ultimate question arrived, clear as cut glass in his awareness. Are you going to take the blue pill or the red pill? When he chose the red pill, the same one Neo swallowed in the film The Matrix to rip free from the illusion, a comet tore through his vision, and as it streaked past, the entire world shattered into infinite God-force love. "People don't know what love actually is," Chris told me, his tone edged with the quiet authority of someone who had walked barefoot across the raw nerve of existence. It's the most powerful force beyond our comprehension, and it interconnects everything. Everything. I became that love, that infinite God level of love, way beyond love as we think we know it. He's one of the most mentally stable people I have ever come to know. Yet he admitted that that experience probably would have broken the average person permanently. He had to burn through every fear his identity was attached to with the intensity of 1,000 suns before experiencing what felt like a violent death as his ego dissolved completely. The disillusion tore past every known boundary until he was face to face with a shimmering, translucent vision of Rodin's The Thinker statue. And in that instant, he knew it was himself. In that transparent moment of recognition, every situation in his life revealed itself as his own reflection. The translucent figure showed him his attitude, his ego, and how within the matrix of illusions, every judgment about anything or anyone was actually his own projection bouncing back at him. Then came the complete disillusion, where there was no him anymore, only 100% unfiltered God. You would not want to plug into that. It would blow you to pieces, he laughed, describing how he became nothing and everything simultaneously. He became every being, every particle, experiencing the particle wave nature of reality before it collapses into solid matter, witnessing what he described as utter, indescribable perfection, a stunning, overwhelming perfection powered by a love beyond bliss. In that unspeakable vibration, he said he was shown something profound about the nature of reality and care. When you go to that level, you completely trust and understand that you are literally taken care of. No problems at all. None, he explained. Even if you found yourself penniless and at a homeless shelter, everything's going to work out. You just walk out of the homeless shelter and undoubtedly know the universe has your back and things will work out. Welcome to reality without fear.